Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. This is my show. Appreciate you being here as usual. First and foremost, we had a show this past weekend. Me and John Shalkowski from Odd Pittsburgh had a live show at Bottle Rocket, a venue up in Allentown, probably the best venue in the city. Can't get no more authentic than what you could get at Bottle Rocket. But we threw our second show there, and it was a hit. Pittsburgh Someplace Special was a presentation, PowerPoint presentation that highlighted some of me and John's favorite stories that have to do with our great city of Pittsburgh. We had a great turnout. I think we were just under 100 people. And it's a Saturday night. Fish was in town. How the fuck am I supposed to be competing with Fish? You know what I mean? But I appreciate everyone that was there. I love the support. Me and John, we got something going. I know that for a fact. When me and that guy are talking, we're creating some good stuff, and that is for sure. We got another episode coming up with me and him. We're going to schedule that out. This guy did a very thorough deep dive in my family history, and he's been telling me, he's not revealing any details, but he is telling me that there's like some mind-blowing stuff with both sides of my family. So he wants to do an episode about it. So we're going to do an episode about it. If you don't know about Odd Pittsburgh, like this guy is a self-appointed Pittsburgh historian, the Pittsburgh historian. And he is, he specializes in stuff that not everyone else does. And one of his main fields of expertise is family lineages, and he took it upon himself. He randomly texted me one day and said, "Hey, what was your dad's name?" And I told him, and he just is sending me all kinds of wild stuff. He was like, "This is where your family was from in Croatia. This is that, and this is that." But other than the wild stuff that he came across, he only told me the basics. So we're going to have an episode coming up with me and John talking about that. Very excited for that. And about more on the show. People have been asking already, when's the next show? I had a lot of people that were not able to come to the show on Saturday at Bottle Rocket. They were out of town. I had friends out of town. I had people out of town. I had people already doing things. I had people at Fish, smoking weed at Star Lake, watching Fish, listening to a jam band instead of supporting the Pittsburgh local scene. How dare you? No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate everyone that went out to Fish. That's a vibe out there. The people the subcultures that follow the Grateful Dead and Fish are, that's something special in itself. I would love to go and experience that, honestly. Probably just a wild time. But we had a great show. It was fucking fun, and we're going to do another one. I'm already in talks with Chris from Bottle Rocket, and me and John are going to do a Halloween special. I'm going to push Chris to try to push it to 2 hours. It's going to have to be a long one. We were running hour and 45, hour and 46 minutes this past Saturday, and we had full clips. We had full clips, spare clips of all this information to go on. But a Halloween special is going to be insane. I'm going to see if it's possible if we can get a costume party Halloween special. That would be pretty epic. If we could put together a little Halloween party where we do a presentation, and then after the party or after the presentation, we have a little party, man, maybe that's a good idea. I kind of just came up with that right now, but maybe I might talk to Chris about that. Maybe we have people come for a presentation, and then after the presentation, we just have a little dance party. We'll find a good DJ, and we will, party to the break of dawn. All right, put a pin in it, because I'm going to try to figure that out. But we will have a Halloween show. Make no mistake about it. And there ain't going to be a better duo in town. Me and John are going to make some shit happen in this town as far as events go, as far as history is going. I mean, let's make no mistake. This dude is already well on his way of finding the history, but I want to put together some shows. I want to put together some fun stuff. Seemed like everyone had a great time, had great feedback, and I'm appreciative. And on top of all this, if you are appreciative of what we do, me and Odd Pittsburgh are both up for the Pittsburgh City Paper's Best of competition. John is obviously nominated for the best Instagram account, and me obviously nominated for best podcast. you could vote until the 30th, I believe tomorrow. You could vote until the 30th. You can vote every day. I guess, only one day left, but appreciate you anyway. Vote for us if you would be so kind. It would be great to win these things. You know what I mean? If you look on the lists of other people in these categories, you got other people that have been guests on the podcast. You got Pittsburgh Personified. You got Pittsburgh Scanner. You got Pittsburgh Candle. You got, a whole slew of people that I can't even remember right now, but very excited for it. I got new merch coming out. I've been manifesting stuff. You know what I mean? I've been manifesting stuff. I talked about this before, but manifestation is in the air, and I've never felt more in tune with it. I've never felt more close to being able to make some stuff happen. We got some other good things in the works. Very excited, and we're just gonna see what happens. But enough about me. Let's talk about the guest this week. This week, I sit down with Clegg, who is the lead singer of the Commonheart. The Commonheart is a band that's been around in the city for a handful of years, and they are performing July 28th at Stage A home show, and it's going to be a great one. I gave away a pair of tickets. That's already over and done with. If you don't follow the Instagram account, I'll call you right back. You miss out on your giveaway opportunities. That's all I could say. If you ain't following, you're missing out. We gave a pair of tickets away for the Commonheart show on Friday. I'm pumped about it. I've never got to see the Commonheart play live. I will be there. I'm going to check it out. I'm pumped about it. And this week we had a great conversation. We were able to get it in here. We were able to make it happen last minute. And I appreciate Clinton for coming in and talking to me, kind of carving some time out of his schedule. But Commonheart, Great band, very powerful, soulful. I urge you to check them out. Clinton is a, lifelong musician. We had him come in. He tells me all about his life, all about how music was introduced to him, the way he made his way from, adolescence, being in different bands, metal bands, rap-centered bands, things like that, and moving his way into what the Commonheart has become is a fascinating story, and I'm excited for you to hear it. I urge you, if you got nothing to do Friday, July 28th, Stage AE, the Commonheart is going to burn it down in there. Very excited to check them out. Very excited to see it. It's a huge band. It's a vibe. It's a live music. You got backup singers. You got strings. You got brass. You got keys. Everything you want for a good time. Weather's going to be nice. It'll be a little bit warm, but it's going to be nice. It'll be moist in there. That's for sure. But we're going to have a good time. That's for damn sure. Okay. Without further ado, episode 250. Oh shit. We're at episode 250. It's already a long intro. I can't beat it to death. Episode 250. We're out here working. Let that be enough said. We're out here working, and there's no ending in sight. Without further ado, episode 250 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Clegg of the Commonheart.
Telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. There's one other person, and I can't remember who it was right now, but they lived. It was my wife does wedding makeup. She had a bride come here, and I guess her husband grew up in the house on the lower level right there. Okay. And she was like, "This is so weird. You're not going to believe this. But like, my husband grew up in this house right behind you." And she was like, "Jesus, like it's weird because it's like me and my wife have never been out here. This feels like no man's land to us."
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah, it's a small world. It's a small world, though. Where are you coming from?
The north side.
Okay, you live in the north side now?
Yeah, in Brighton Heights.
Okay. Tossies on. I'm sure you're not a stranger to some headphones. Let me know if they're too loud. Sound all right?
Yeah, dude, we're great.
Yeah, it's a small world. Yeah. The more I grow up, the more I realize that, like, everyone knows everyone. It just is like, so little removed. Are you from Pittsburgh?
Yeah, originally I'm from Monongahela.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I grew up in Elizabeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my later high school years, I was that Butler's or Riverview?
Yeah, Riverview Golf Course.
Oh yeah, like every day. They used to have twilight golf. You pay $9, all you can walk.
Yeah, I bet you'd still like that.
Yeah.
Are you a golfer?
Not a good one, but I do enjoy it. I like being outside. And,
yeah, man. I
hit that one shot out of 50.
Yeah, that's what you're laying in bed thinking about later. You're like, it makes me want to go back.
Right.
I grew up with a bunch of friends who, they were all good at golf, and I hated it. And then, getting a little bit older, I was like, I need something to do. Started golfing and just became obsessed. I'm terrible.
Oh,
but,
same.
It's fun to do. But you said you live in the north side now, and you grew up in Monongahela. So you've been around here. I mean, you've been in Pittsburgh forever?
Yeah, forever. I went to, I got out of here and went to IUP and got a degree somehow, and then moved. When I went home for like 2 weeks back to Monongahela, and I was like, I can't live with my mother.
I mean, all due respect to Monongahela, it's just like you want to get out of it.
Yeah. Within 2 weeks of being back home, I called my friend and was like, "Hey, you by chance looking for a roommate?" And he was, and I was out. And I was living in the South Side, and it was a different world.
Oh my God, Monongahela to the South Side.
To the South Side.
Yeah, that's a flip of a coin. Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 42.
42. So, like, now, whenever you were growing up, were you a musician? Like, were you into music?
So, are we recording?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't do the whole like.
No, that's great.
We're sitting down.
I was like, we were having good conversation. I just wanted to make sure. No.
Oh yeah, I'm a professional.
You got it. Third grade was the first. So my mother's a organ player in the church. I grew up going to church.
Yeah.
She was always involved in music. And third grade, I got on the cello, and kind of fourth grade, fifth grade, and they're like, hey, you can move to the upright bass. And then in sixth grade, the big jump was going to be I was going to go to the electric stage bass and be in the stage band.
Wow.
And then my folks split, and I went to a different school that didn't have a string program, so that all kind of went away. And then I got an acoustic guitar and found marijuana and some really good friends and started jam sessions.
Yeah, then you unlocked your mind and it starts going.
It just went a different direction.
Are you, so your mom was an organ player, you said, but like.
Still 80 years old, plays 2 church services every Sunday.
My goodness. That's incredible. I actually just, unfortunately went to a funeral, but I was sitting front row watching this lady play the organ, and it's a crazy organ out in, like Verona, one of the churches right out there. And it was just like blowing my mind because, they had like this little box organ up front, but I guess it was connected to a wall behind it. Mm-hmm. And it's just like all these pipes up. And it was just, I don't know, it's a powerful thing. You don't often, like, I don't get to hear it all the time. So as this lady's playing it, it starts like, something in my ear is peaking. But that's interesting. So like, I mean, did instruments come naturally to you?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I never had like a real technical skill set like a lot of the musicians I work with now had. I would always call myself a garage player. Just kind of like
fiddle on whatever.
I can fiddle. I can pick up melodies. I can learn songs by ear. I can, I can, put together.
What is cello the one with the bow?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you said upright bass after was just where you're picking with your fingers,
that's kind
right?
of the course typically. So if you start on cello, in third grade or second grade or whatever, you can stick with the cello, obviously, but they'll give you options to graduate to bigger instruments.
Did you want to choose that?
I wanted the bass. I thought I was really intrigued by it. Yeah, I thought
that's
cool.
Interesting. I feel like a younger kid, you think, whenever you choose an instrument, it would be like drums or something like that. But a cello is interesting to pick. I feel like it's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I don't know what drew me to the cello, if I'm being honest. But it was when I had the option to get to the bass that was really intriguing. And then even after I got out of the string program, when I got in my first like garage metal band type thing.
How old are you when that happens?
Oh, I think it was like 16.
Okay, right in the thick of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I became the bass player.
Yeah,
not good one, but
it was just like some heavy metal music.
Yeah, my younger bands had quite a trajectory of different styles, man.
Because if you listen now, you feel like you feel like you're in church almost. Like it has that like vibe, that aura to it. But
well, when I first started, my CD player was riddled with Korn and Limp Bizkit.
Oh, come on!
So
man.
I was turning the hat backwards and doing the Fred Durst thing at first, and I am not ashamed of it at all.
No, you have to embrace that.
Yeah, it was cool, and I really did start writing more. It was more rap driven.
Okay, yeah.
And then, like as our songs progressed, I started like singing more choruses, and that's kind of how the singing started. And then,
yeah, originally it didn't even start as you being a singer. You were just a bass, and then you kind of just got into it that way.
Yeah, kind of a rapper at first, and then on the bass, but then it just kind of progressed into when I went away to college. I kind of got more into blues and soul music, and just was sitting in my apartment alone with an acoustic, and that kind of stuff just started coming out.
Yeah. Well, whenever you're younger and you're getting into music and you're developing your own like taste on what you like, were you listening to like, you said you were listening to Korn and like, you were listening to rap and stuff like that too? Like, did you have a diverse taste in music? Yeah,
for sure. Like, Chapter 1 was breaking into my brother's room, and he had a 5-disc CD changer. And the 5 discs were AC/DC Back in Black, Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Van Morrison, and NWA.
That's such a good table of music to jump into.
Yeah, so that was kind of like, there's all kind of wild stuff. And then my sister across the hall, Mandy, she'd be like, she came in the room, you got to hide this, And it was, do you remember the old recordable cassette, the black tapes with the orange tape on them?
Yeah.
She handed me this thing, you got to hide this. If Dad finds it, he'll kill me. And it said 2 Live Crew on it.
Oh my God. Were your parents like kind of strict?
No, but my dad had a little bit of racism in his genes and did not like anyone listening to rap.
Okay.
That was like the one thing. I wouldn't call them strict or, they were great parents.
Yeah, not set in their ways a little bit.
Set in their ways, but like the rap did not fly.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, like whenever you got to think of it, as being a person growing up in that time and just starting to hear that all coming out, you're probably like, alarmed by it. You don't know how to like take that in as a parent. So I feel like that's like the natural thing is be like, I don't want my kid to listen to this. It's crazy.
Right. I mean, I can almost side with my dad in some ways because if you've listened to 2 Live Crew,
it's wild.
It's aggressively saying the F word and sexual and crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense. Now, this garage band, like, where does that progress? We were talking about you getting into singing more and like wanting to kind of jump into that. How does that progress? Are you in bands your whole life?
It kind of took a break. I went through like it really didn't have anything to do with the bands. Were nothing but fun. We were playing around our hometown and just having great crowds and partying on the weekend. We had a great thing. But I started getting a little bit of a rut personally and kind of wanted to, I was starting to think about, do I go to the military? I never thought I was a college guy.
Yeah. That's usually my next question is like, I'm curious to know about what people, obviously we know what you do now, but coming out of high school, I feel like those are such pivotal years. And like, it's always interesting to hear like what you expected yourself or what you wanted to do in that time, because everyone has to figure out like, I'm becoming an adult. I got to figure out like, how to pay my bills, how to be like an adult and do these things. Like, what was your idea? What you wanted?
Yeah. So it was, I'm not going to go to college. I had a job at a pizza delivery place.
Yeah.
And I had all my best friends around me and we were playing music and having a blast.
Yeah. So it was comfortable.
It was comfortable until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And one of my closest friends went to the Navy. And I was like, I got to do something. So I started taking classes at CCAC, got some transferable credits and got accepted to IUP, and then I was gone.
Wow. So CCAC South?
Yep.
Praise God. You already know I was there too.
Yeah.
Everyone was there. That place was the best.
Yeah, it was solid. And what's funny about CCAC South? All the professors worked at Pitt.
Yeah.
Like we're getting
It's good
education.
quality.
Yeah.
But people just thought that the name like devalued it in some way.
Right.
But yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad spot up there.
No, I liked it.
Yeah. So whenever you were going to school, what were you getting? Was it just general education?
At CCAC, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had to pick one, and I went with like it's my degree is a tech support degree, like a business tech support degree.
Okay.
So I was just thinking, I was trying to think practical job.
Yeah.
You know, how do I do this kind of thing? And
because like your playing music is pretty much just passion. Like you guys aren't making a lot of money or anything out of that.
More like no money.
Yeah. So you need to have a reality that you're trying to like figure out.
The college thing, I was like, I'll go to school. Oh, I'll do computers. That's logical, you know, and that'll keep me safe. And then, and it's still my situation in a way, but things are way different. You know, I have a day job here in the city that really keeps me afloat and lets me chase music.
Yeah.
With my degree, so it's still there for me. So I don't regret that. It just if I had to, there is a world where I would like to study music and kind of like embrace that technical side and do, you know, learn more of the, you know, deeper side of music from a educational standpoint, just to be able to have that skill set, you know. But I'm still glad I did what I did at IUP.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's where my wife went to IUP. Like she went to school for, you know, I right now I work in like the engineering field. Like I go and I measure pipe, I design piping, you know, we put it in these things, and it's like, it's cool to do, you know, but it's like, you know, it keeps me afloat doing this, which I love doing, is this podcast. And this is a goal eventually to be like a full-time thing. But like you said, I don't regret going to school to do what I do now. Like I went to a technical school for 3D design, and that's cool. And like, that gives me a secure, you know, foundation to be able to like make this grow how I want it to grow, rather than not like half-ass it. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, it's cool. I imagine it would be a frustrating thing to be in a bunch of bands in music projects coming up, and like, you know, because I had a lot of friends that were in it, and I would see them, you know, come up, and then I would see them dissolve, and it was all just passion. You pour your heart and soul into it, all your hours, all your time, all your love, and like, you don't get a lot of reward from it. Like, they didn't make any money, but they spent so much time doing it. So it's interesting to like think about that in that way, because if you've been doing it forever, I mean, it's like you're cutting down your free time because you're devoting all these extra hours you have into these things. Yeah. Now, for you to, you know, come out of college, like at that time, like, where are you at in music? Like, are you in a band now, a steady band?
So college, being in a band slowed down briefly. I did a lot more solo acoustic writing, and I went to some open mics and stuff like that. And I eventually met my friend Glenn Struther, who was running a band called Shazam, who are a 3-piece like jazz fusion jam band in that kind of vein. And they were playing at a bar that I was, you know, hanging at pretty often. And one night sat in with them and sang a song with them. And then before I know it, I'm singing for that band and you know, back into that. And they played a lot of festivals, and you know, they played a ton all over, you know, regionally. And that was like, I felt that, you know, from taking a break from music for so long and then getting into that with what they were doing, they were, in my mind, you know, they were really like out there doing it, traveling, touring. We were playing, you know, we went on a run with Rusted Root, and we were in you know, rooms with 1,000 folks in them, and like being on a real stage, and like, this is a sound check. Like,
doing it, like the real thing, like going through the motions.
Like, you want your voice in your monitor? I was like, what's a monitor?
Well, where does the, you know, how do you get from point A to point B? Like, where point A is you just jumping into kind of singing to you singing in one of these like established bands. Like, are you you said you took a break off of music for a while. You know, are you doing anything to like, you know?
Well, taking a break, I mean, like I wasn't in any band.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, are you still like, you know, how do you get better at singing to where you're confident to be a singer in a band like that?
I mean, I'm in my apartment alone singing every day.
Yeah.
You know, and then going to open mics and singing.
You're actively trying to like get better. Like, are you taking do you take vocal lessons or anything?
I never took a vocal lesson, but I should, even till this day I should. But there was just like a year or 2 year period where I was just like really just on my guitar in my apartment alone, writing and just singing all the time. And then there was this really cool open mic at this bar in town that I would go to and debut these songs and just like get that feeling of like performing, you know, in front of people. And
did you feel that your voice was like good at that time? Like,
no, I mean, I still don't.
Well, you know what I mean? Like my voice, I know my voice is not good. And the reason I ask all these like kind of like in-depth questions is because like your voice is so powerful and, it's like, I mean, you're just belting it out there and it sounds great. And that's why, like, I didn't know if that was something that like came after like, you know, developing it over years. Cause I feel like it's a hard thing to do to just like, you know, scream and like, you know, enunciate as like powerfully as you do.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. But also like, it's really, there was a point where I kind of felt like, oh, this is different. Like I actually have something here. I should develop this. I should concentrate on this style.
Yeah.
You know, that there was definitely that moment for sure. Right?
Yeah.
You know, just kind of, oh, this is a thing. Like, you know, you can lean in, you know, so I started listening to the Joe Cockers and the Bob Seekers and even metal guys that scream. I read about how they handle their voices and, you know, just trying to lean into what I could do.
Yeah.
I think there was definitely a period where I was like learning that it was my thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's interesting to think about. So you were at this open mic premiering these songs to people and like what was like how like where do you get your inspiration for writing? Like what are you writing about?
Mostly relationship stuff.
Yeah.
You know, just things, you know, things I've been through with different girls and
yeah,
you know, all that kind of stuff. Or, you know, not just girls, like any relationship really, you know, family, friends, just songs about life.
Yeah.
And different things that you go through.
And what year is this happening?
This is like 2003.
Okay.
2004, that era. I got out of college in 2007. So yeah, right around then.
Okay. So if you're in these open mics, you know, how does it progress from there?
It kind of starts with a couple of people being like, hey man, you're pretty good. That's cool. And then it kind of goes from there. And then when Glenn invited me up to sing a tune with Shazam, who was like, I saw them and I thought they were gods. Like they were so good at music. I was like, blown away. And when he was like, "Hey, you should come up and sing," I'm trying to remember the tune. I think we did. It was a Marvin Gaye tune, but they like jammed it out. It was really good. And then afterwards, the band was like, "Hey, you know, what are you doing next weekend?"
Yeah, you're a good fit.
Yeah.
Are you someone who gets nervous?
I lie to myself and say it's not nerves, it's excitement.
Yeah.
And that's my little mind trick.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I do because I get fucking sick. You know, I
yeah.
make myself sick with worry, even over the dumbest things. But,
right.
you know, for you to like kind of make a jump from you just like, oh, I'm doing open mics to you, like, you know, jumping in with like an established set or 3-piece, as you said. But like, I don't know. I feel like that would be like a crazy, that would be like a, you know, you're jumping right there.
Right.
You know, you just got to get in there. And that's that moment where you could either sink or swim.
Right.
But that's cool that they, you know, that you fit in with that. So that kind of lasted for a while. And you said you were touring for a little bit with them.
Yeah. It was, I can't remember how long exactly, but we made a couple records. And they were pretty established before I even got there.
Yeah.
Doing their thing. So I was kind of added in, and then they had a lot of instrumental features. So I was kind of like, I became the vocal feature, like on a few songs.
Yeah.
You know, and then we started writing more together, and that last record had me on almost every song, which was really cool. And, then it kind of got a little tricky when I exited that group because I was touring a lot, failing out of college.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of a look in the mirror moment and was like, hey guys, I got to back off. I got to get out of school.
Yeah.
And then, Glenn and I are still super close, and he has great bands now that I still sit in and sing with, and all the guys in that band, John and Mark, they're all musicians in town, and we still hang and are great. But yeah, when that band they just had a reunion actually. But when that band came to a close for me, it was more about, hey, I've been in school for 5 years. I'm not a doctor. I got to get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. and I mean, like at that point, do you feel that like you wanted to start your own project?
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, I got out of college and then I was like, hey, I love music. Obviously I had a lot of songs. So I started another project called Backstabbing Good People.
Backstabbing Good People.
Yeah, where I took a lot of my songs and, it was. This will lead to the Commonheart, believe it or not, because Backstabbing Good People was excessively eclectic.
Yeah.
Like, from one song to the next made no sense. Like literally.
Is it just you?
No, we had a band.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a band, and it was just like reggae song, pure soul song, rock song,
whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, and in some conversations that's extremely cool.
Yeah,
but it seemed jumbled looking back on it in a way. Not that I like look back on it unfondly.
But you didn't have like a style necessarily,
right?
And it couldn't cultivate like a following because everything is like, there's a bunch of different stuff there.
Yeah. I always tell this story and it sticks with me to this day. And I don't know who this person was, but I was in the bathroom stall after a set and they come in to use the restroom and they're two guys talking to each other and they're like, man, if that band could pick a lane, they'd be great.
That's a good compliment.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, right.
I mean, so have you always had that like sort of like diverse, I want to make all different types of music?
Yeah, I get real caught in what I'm into at the moment.
Yeah.
So, just if I'm listening to, anything, I'll just kind of lean that way with my writing. Just like, I think that's pretty natural.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was just never afraid to do it. And then one day I was just kind of like, oh man, this band's kind of all over the place, and that's kind of where the Commonheart discussion started to come because as Backstabbing Good People started to dissolve in ways. And
how many people were in that band?
There were 5 of us.
So have you always been someone who, wanted to incorporate, all these different levels, strings, brass, all this stuff? Because I mean, how many people are in the Commonheart now?
Well, now we're touring with 7.
Yeah.
If we play in Pittsburgh or somewhere where I can really afford it, I will hire a couple more folks to do background vocals. So at our biggest band configuration, the Commonheart had 10 people on stage.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It was and still is, yeah.
Now, I mean, like, that's always been like kind of the lane you wanted to go in. Like, how do you choose if you're doing like, reggae, you're doing like soul, all that? How do you kind of choose what you hone in on? Yeah.
So that was when Backstabbing Good People ended, the drummer and I, Sean, that was the topic of discussion. It was like, let's pick a lane.
Yeah.
Let's lean into it. And let's be honest here. What's a strong part of what we're doing here? And it's my vocal. It's raspy. It's rock and roll. It's retro feeling. It's throwback to that, raspy front guy thing. I was like, well, we love that music. We love Joe Cocker. We love soul music. We love Otis Redding. We love Wilson Pickett.
Yeah.
Let's lean into that more, and it was something that in, 2012, 2014, that kind of music was insurgents, it was popular, and we were like, oh, this is a good thing. Let's write, a little more into that lane. Oh, we need to bring some horns in. This is literally how it started. Oh, I didn't have the mindset of I'm going to build a 10-piece band at all.
Yeah.
That was not my mindset. I was like, oh, let's bring some horns in. They came in, they played on a track, and I just kind of looked at both of them and was like, so do you guys want to be in the band?
Yeah, they never left.
They never left. And then they're like, what about, we should have some background singers on this part. Oh, cool. We met some people, brought them in. Hey, do you guys want to be in the band?
Yeah.
And then before we knew it, we were a 9-10 piece band on some nights.
Did you have the name for it already?
The name was forced on us because we got our first show and we didn't have a name.
Oh, shit.
We had like a day to decide.
How do you decide on that?
Lots of discussions over beers.
That's the worst. That's the worst thing of any project is trying to figure out a name.
Yeah.
I mean, I no lie, the podcast was delayed probably like 3 years just because I could not figure out just a name. And it's just it's such like a pivotal. I mean, it's your name,
Right.
so you can't like rush it. But it's wild that you kind of forced into something.
Yeah.
But that's good though. What was like a second? Like, what could the Commonheart have been called?
The Commonwealth was the second one, which I don't think is bad.
That's not a bad name. That's
So
a cool name.
Those were the last two.
That's a cool name for sure.
Yeah.
That would be fitting for the area.
Yeah, I mean, PA.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah,
That's good.
I wouldn't have been mad at it, honestly. But I did not like the Commonheart when we chose it, and now I think it's perfect.
You didn't like it.
I didn't understand it, I don't think.
Well, what do you think it means to you now? Like, what do you think that means?
I think it's Pittsburgh. I think
Yeah.
it's blue collar. I think it's about being a common, decent person.
Yeah.
And I think it represents our music and what we say and what I say and what I do and who I try to be. Just that blue collar, good person, treat people how you want to be treated kind of thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's how you would hope everyone would want to be, right?
Right. I mean, that's the goal.
That's the goal of it all. Now, as you're building this, this creation of a band, how do you start? Because what was it? Grown was in 2016.
Yep.
Now, when you started, when the Commonheart was the Commonheart, what year was that?
2014.
2014. So how does it happen after that? Are you just trying to get shows, or
Yeah.
how does that work as a new band?
A lot of my things, especially in Pittsburgh, was going to they used to have this open mic at Club Cafe, and they still have it to this day, but it's in a different location called Acoustic Cafe. And that was really Pittsburgh Music College for me.
You spent a lot of time going to open mics?
The Monday night open mic at Club Cafe in 2014, or no, actually, I take that back, 2008. And I went every Monday religiously. Every musician there was amazing, and practically every person that I met there, I'm still associated with today. And they're playing around Pittsburgh. Andre Costello, Chet Vincent, Morgan Arena, Mark Dignam, like really outstanding Pittsburgh talent. And I'd all met them in that room, and then and so through that networking, I met Sean, our drummer, our first drummer, and it just kind of grew from there. You just start to meet all these musicians. You get in those circles, and you're like, well, what do you want to do? I want to do this, and then hey, where are we going to rehearse? Okay, we rehearse here. All right, what do we do to get a show? Well, my buddy's got a show. We can open up. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. And then it just kind of rolls from there. That's I think that's how every band does it. And then it's all just through friends and networking at first.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's so cool to hear about, like the origin story of like all the open mics and everything. Just because I'm a big fan of like comedians and stuff. I see you always post like your mom's house and everything. And back in, are you a podcast listener?
Oh yeah.
So it's like I started listening to Rogan a long time ago. Whenever it was like before it started to like become what it is now, and
Right.
It was so cool to hear about the origins of everyone going to these open mics, just like sludging through the mud, trying to make it. And it's cool to hear about that being something that was in Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah.
And it being like a thing that you would credit to, where you are now.
Yeah.
That's cool. I never been to like I never performed at an open mic, but like my wife had friends who would go there and sing, and I've always respected it a lot. I was never a musician.
Right.
I never was good at it. But I was always friends with these incredibly talented people.
Yeah.
And it was such like something that I would like I would give so much respect to, because it just takes a lot of balls. Like, you know, my friends were up on Battle of the Band stages, just like ripping this like metal music whenever we were 18 and 19. And I was just like, man, it almost makes you emotional thinking about it, because of like in that moment, it's the biggest thing in the world. They're rock stars. And, you know, it's cool to think about that stuff.
Yeah. What about comedy? Did you ever try comedy?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Did or do?
I did. I did comedy. You know, Matt Light?
Yeah.
Matt Light, excuse me. He was on here. He's came on here a couple of times, but you know, randomly years ago, I got to interview Bert Kreischer at the Improv. You know, cool. It was like whenever he was still doing the Improv, just slid in the DMs. I was like, yeah, dude, I do a podcast. No one was doing podcasts. He was like, yeah, come in the green room. And like, I have a video of me saying like, man, I really think I could do it. I've always wanted to do it. Then like a year later, Matt Light's on the show. I'm like, yeah, man, I would love to do it. And he was like, well, I got a competition coming up at the Improv. He was like, I'll sign you up. So I kind of got like forced into, you know, not being able to back out. But I did the March Madness competition at the Improv. Fucking sold out at the Improv, and it's my first time going up there, but I made it. I made it to the finals.
Nice.
And we did 4 weeks, but it was good. Yeah, I would like to do it more. I think I could. I still write down. You know, I have books in my phone of just all bits. Yeah. And I think I could do it again. I was supposed to do another show, but it was right whenever COVID happened, and I just haven't done anything after that. What about you?
I am obsessed with comedy.
Yeah.
And I also know that I'm not a comedian, and I'm okay with it.
You think that?
I'll stay in my lane.
That's fair. That's fair. I can understand that. Yeah, I can't sing, so I wouldn't go up and sing.
Yeah, but I'm a huge comedy fan.
How did you get involved with all that?
I grew up on. My dad gave me Bill Cosby himself on cassette, and I used to go to sleep to it every night.
That's the best.
And then just I don't know. Always drawn to it. The whole podcast wave. I'm you know.
Are you like a Rogan listener and all them? Like
I listen to Rogan when I really like it when he speaks to comedians.
Yeah.
Because I love being a fly on a wall and listening to two comedians talk. It's one of my favorite things.
That's like what got me into doing this.
So I will listen to those episodes. I'm a big Your Mom's House fan, as you know. You know, I love Bert. I love Ryan Sickler.
Oh, that's the Crab Feast was like my favorite. I always tell people that was the best podcast ever.
Yeah.
It's just like that whole beginning wave of like podcasting and like how that all was like, man, the golden years of it all. And it was such like I don't know. It was cool to hear about it. And it's cool that like it became what it is. You know what I mean? Like the only reason I have this podcast is because of all those dudes.
Yeah.
You know, but like you said, a fly on the wall was like, I mean, that's why I talk to all these people. Yeah. You know, you're about to be, you know, like 251 or something. And it's just, I just wanted a way to be, I wanted an excuse to be able to ask people in and me be allowed to ask them a bunch of dumb questions.
Right.
You know, like I talked to a funeral director. If I would have met this person in a bar and I'm just talking to him for 2 hours, like, how do you embalm a dead body? It's kind of weird.
Right.
So this is like a good way for me to do it. And I was able to see that that's a possibility through all these guys. Mm-hmm. Now, back to you though, like the Commonheart and like it being established and you start to get the ball rolling, you know, where is what's the process of that first album?
It you know, we had the songs. We went to the studio just with a certain mentality, and then worked with this young man named Dave Heidick, who worked at a place called Tree Lady Studios out near Monroeville, and we just started, you know, turning them out, and you know, and just tried to let what we laid down live there, and.
Did you all have sort of the same idea on like the style you wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, with the band with so many members, you know, I kind of am default leader.
Yeah,
you know, it was something that Sean and I had the vision. When people came in, we explained the vision, you know, and everybody was down. So that, you know, when we went into the studio, we all had the same mentality of what we were trying to do. You know. Hey, we know what we sound like. That's what we're trying to put on tape. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel with this record. We're not trying to change. So straightforward, you know, just let the instruments shine. Try to go for that old retro kind of feel. let the brass shine.
Yeah.
And let my vocal be up front and do its thing. And that was the attitude.
Are you, and you write, I mean,
I write the music, but I also lean on my bandmates a lot, especially for arrangement.
Yeah.
And so, I'll have verses and choruses and melodies and those kind of things in place. But when we get to the discussion of arranging the tune, the band is very much involved.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like it would have to be because everyone in there is like, an expert at what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's like you want them there for their input.
I like to say I'm more of a theme writer.
Yeah.
So like I'll have a tune, but when we get down to like verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, or, whatever, mix up of that kind of thing, we just play it a lot to see what feels right.
Yeah.
Put it together the way it's supposed to be. And then when you get in the studio, a producer will have an opinion, which is welcomed too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll be like, hey, you try this here. Okay.
Are you, is the whole ensemble, like, would you say you guys are quick at writing and recording?
I'd say it comes in waves.
Yeah.
So it can come out of nowhere and be fast. You can get hung up on the wrong thing and get stuck. But
what do you do in those moments whenever things are like, feel like that you're at a dead end kind of?
Not be afraid to blow it all up.
Yeah.
Take a break. Remind yourself it's not personal.
Yeah.
Remind everyone it's, it is personal because it's art.
Yeah, for sure.
But like when what happens in a lot of those stuck times is like people you're working with's opinions.
Yeah.
So that you're trying to, you're respecting your bandmates and their, different egos and all those kind of things come in. And sometimes you got to take a step back. And when you can get really stuck on a song and almost trapped in it.
Yeah.
You got to step back. You got to blow it up. You got to be like, hey, we're making a song here. We're not selling a house to each other. Let's work this.
It's interesting to think of it in that way because in that moment, one of these songs that you might be hung up on is just like, it's just like a part of the whole entire thing rather than like, and I always try to think of it with like the podcast. Like if I'm like, this could have came out better. I don't know if people will understand like kind of what we're talking about. I think about it, but then I'm like, the people that are listening are going to form their very own opinion, form their very own way of consuming this. Mm-hmm. And they might not have any idea of what your intention is when you're creating this piece. So it's like, you're spending all this time on like this one area of a song, so to speak. And like, you're using so much energy whenever it doesn't even need to be like that. And it's interesting to think in that way. It's like kind of like you said, blowing it up and kind of like giving away that like, that control of it and letting it be what it is.
Yeah.
Because, some people that you could make a song that you think is not the best that could be, like every listener's like favorite.
Yeah.
It's, that's what's weird about music.
It's actually wild. We have a song called Do Right. And we were playing it live for a while.
Yeah.
And Do Right's pretty straightforward song. It's got two chords. It's got a really catchy hook. It's got great feel. And we were doing it live and it was crushing. And we got in the studio with it and, we played it and the guy who was producing the record, is our second record. He just stopped the tape and he's like, can you guys all come in here? He sat us all down and he was like, this ain't it. And if you're going to play just two chords, you better mean it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of an interesting moment. We went in and rewrote the song, kept it. We just gave it a totally different feel.
Yeah.
Kept the lyrics and the choruses and stuff, but just gave it a totally different feel. And it crushed. And it's now our most listened to song on Spotify.
I know. I was going to say, I was like, where's the story going to go? Because that's the first song that comes up whenever you click on it.
It's funny how songs work that way. Like that Do Right was played for a year and what's on there sound nothing like that.
That's interesting.
Totally different energy. Yeah. I mean, not, it was just different instrumentation. We didn't used to use piano.
Yeah.
And it was just a different feel. And the producer's message was like, what you're doing doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
You need to make it feel good.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I just looked at, my bandmate Lucas, who's our keyboard player, and I said, you know what makes me feel good, man? Piano.
Yeah.
There's a big old grand piano in that booth over there. Why don't we go mess around there a little bit? And that's how it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a cool story.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Are you someone that are you good at receiving constructive criticism?
I think so.
Yeah.
I try to be. And if I'm not, I remind myself to, I strive for that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be able to do that.
It's always interesting to ask an artist, whenever talking about something that they're pouring everything into. Mm-hmm. And it's and it's such a vulnerable thing, art, because realistically you're making things for yourself, but it doesn't matter what you think of it really, mm-hmm. because you're putting it out there. And if you're, an artist that's trying to, sell music or eventually become someone that could pay their bills off of doing it, it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what the customer thinks. And it's so interesting to think about that. You create art for yourself, but if you want to get anywhere with it, you have to be able to it has to be able to be well received by all these people.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I've been thinking about it a lot lately. It's just yeah, there's good intention behind things. I have good intentions behind this podcast, but eventually it's I would like to make this something that I could do full time. Right. And that's whenever you have to keep in your mind, you're thinking about oh, what are people going to think about this? Was the first album received well?
Yeah, we were, we started to get a little more of a name around Pittsburgh as we were, playing out. And the real break, it really comes back to that we had a real pinnacle moment locally here. 2016, my phone rang, said Austin, Texas on it. I answered it, and it was Gary Clark Jr.'s tour manager.
Wow.
And he was like, hey, man, I heard you guys got a band. They're pretty good. We're in town tomorrow night. Could you open up for us? Well, I was like,
damn.
I was like, yes. I have 9 people in my band. I have not communicated if they're even available. I was like, yes.
Yeah, worry about it later.
Yeah. So I get off. Everything works out. We do that show. But the important part of this thing is that put us, it was a WYEP audience. Gary Clark Jr., amazing blues rock player.
Animal.
2,000 folks of our direct demographic all living in Pittsburgh placed in front of us. A local band's dream.
Yeah.
To be able to go in and hit a home run in that show.
It went well. The show went well.
The show went really well, really well received. And that kind of that led to 3 weeks later, we released Grown.
Yeah.
And sold out Mr. Smalls. Wow. And that was
it's what you needed to people want to listen to it. They just need to know about it.
Yeah.
That's what my wife says. She's like, people want to hear about it. You need to get, that's the hardest part is getting people to know about it.
Yeah. I guarantee you, if we didn't get that spot with Gary, there would have been maybe 100 people at that small show.
Well, how does that happen? How did they hear about you?
The Pittsburgh Winery is owned by a guy named Tim Gaber, who had a friend who was friends with the drummer. And the drummer, that's actually a thing Gary does, which I think is really cool. He likes to go into cities and get openers from the city.
Yeah.
It's just like a thing he does. He doesn't tour with an opener typically. I don't know what he does now. He's a little bigger now. But I always thought that was cool. I think 2 years ago, before he got Grand Piano to open, which was rad, and then he had us, and it was all just this guy knows this guy, and this guy said your band's okay.
That's how it always is.
Yeah.
That's super cool. It's always interesting to hear everyone's story and how things kind of come together. Yeah. So that show, you sold out Mr. Smalls, and it's obviously that kind of establishes you in the city as a band.
Yeah. The next morning it was, well, we got to make another record.
Yeah. And it's immediately off to the races. You got to ride this wave while you can.
The Opus One, who books Smalls and a promoter here in Pittsburgh, when they took notice, hey, local band sells out. That's a lot of tickets.
Yeah,
what's up? And then they're like, oh, well, we'll manage you. Oh, that's cool. Hey, we have a booking agent. Oh, rad. Cool. Hey, we need to go to Austin. You guys need to do South by and play and for indie labels and get a label because you need label support.
How quickly after this Mr. Small show is this?
Within a year.
Okay.
Yeah. We were down in Austin. We did 3 South bys. And then we finally met folks from Julian Records who we put out our last 2 records with.
Oh, cool.
And they're great. Nice indie label out of New York. This is all, we put out Pressure in November.
How is your experience at South by, like being not just in the city? Obviously, you're playing in the city and like, you're here. Is it well received in the wild? I had
2 different succinct South by experiences. The first one we did completely on our own, and it was a learning experience, I'll say.
It was a learning experience.
Yeah. Like the whole, let's get in the van and go to Austin. That's literally what we did. And we learned that, you don't do that.
Why though?
Because it's a very organized, crazy, busy thing. And you're not just going to go down there and get on a bill.
Oh, you're saying that you just like went, you didn't even have.
We had 2 dates.
Oh, okay.
And drove to Texas.
Wow. Jesus.
And we got to the one and it didn't even happen.
Oh.
But when we returned with support of management and agents, we had like a legit schedule.
Okay, that's good.
And we were in official venues with that, like,
so it's more refined.
Labels will come in, they're shopping.
Yeah,
and the labels are there; they're literally shopping.
Yeah,
and so that's how that worked.
Was that a good experience?
It was wild. I love Austin.
Yeah,
South by is very cool. I would totally go back.
I mean, because what I'm envisioning, like what's a crowd there? Is it a bunch of different stages? It's like a music festival where there's a bunch of different stages, and people pick and choose where they go, right?
Yeah. So you have the official South by Southwest, which is like they have certain stages all throughout, like bars, venues, outdoor stages.
Okay, that makes sense.
Everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But there's also an unofficial South by, which South by welcomes. They're not, they're not like butting heads.
Yeah.
There's like tons of things going on. So you can do, we were there, you could do like 3 shows a day for 4 days at like different places and just kind of run around town.
That's cool.
It's cool. Parking's fun.
Yeah. I bet it's wild. Pressure 2019 you put out.
Yeah. And that's when like everybody was honed in. The label was fully behind us. They were putting their money where their mouth was and giving us the kind of marketing capability to really try to elevate the band. We did stuff with Relics Magazine. We got to be on CBS This Morning. All these kind of national opportunities to see, to really put the foot forward of elevating the band to the next level.
Yeah.
When CBS dropped, it was crazy. We watched Pressure trend on iTunes. We were like, fuck.
Yeah, that's cool. Wild. Is that this is the first time that like something that you're involved with is like getting this like notoriety?
Yeah.
It's like what's your mindset in that right there? Does that give you a boost to like being like, let's keep this going? Yeah,
and it's very inspiring when you see. So like we're based here in Pittsburgh. We do well here. Our main fan base is here, and we're out there, and we're driving around and just see like when I got the news when the CBS thing hit, 3 of our shows sold out.
Oh, that's sick.
In Massachusetts and like different places, and then hey, we have a show in Austin, Denver, Chicago, Detroit, and then you get the news that like all those shows have not sold out, but like there's tickets moving.
Yeah,
like people there have heard of your band.
Yeah,
and there's a few tickets moving. Like nothing crazy,
Yeah, but still, it's like people were. It's a different place, and people were buying tickets.
People who bought tickets.
Yeah,
in
dude,
Denver.
that's dope.
What the hell's that?
That's the best.
Yeah. So that was a really cool time. We got to go out and do some opening support acts with JJ Gray and Mofro and Los Lobos, and like being in front of their audience is also helping that and generating to that rise, and things were grooving. And then 2020 and this little virus showed up and
crazy.
Yeah, that was that.
Yeah, so I'm sure the momentum kind of took a halt there.
Yeah, that one hit hard.
What happens as a band? Like, obviously you're not playing shows or anything. Like, what's your mindset as a band?
Well,
Just start
I'm
writing?
sure you can remember. It's like
No one knew what was going on.
the first 3 months were really weird.
Yeah.
The first 6 months were weird.
Yeah.
And then, things got better, and obviously we got out of it. But for me personally, I was definitely not writing at first.
Yeah.
It was just like a lot of anger.
Yeah.
And a lot of confusion.
Yeah. Feel like something was taken away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And then the writing came, though.
Yeah.
I knew that, I had a couple people pull me aside that I really trust and respect and were like, start writing, dude, because we'll be back.
What's your process of writing? Is it just like, are you someone that like, does it come easy for you? Do you have to like, do a certain like thing? Do you like how does that work for you?
I think I'm just like anybody. It kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
You live and you have experiences, you get ideas.
Yeah.
And sometimes the ideas flourish, sometimes they burn out.
Yeah.
Are
you a guy that just like writes shit down in your phone all the time?
Voice memo.
Yeah.
I got 5,000 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like different. If I played half of them, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's like weird.
Yeah. Just something 4 seconds.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like that. That's cool though.
Yeah. That there's a lot of that. And then if I get actually, that's a real great resource for me. If I'm really like down, I'll just listen through to all of them.
Yeah, and just hear if there's anything that like makes your ears perk.
Yeah.
What's the process of like writing with like 9 people? Like, is it where, does everyone try to like, do you guys all get in a room and like try to write stuff down, or do you come with like, lyrics or an idea first?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Lyrics and an idea for sure. And it gets real sectional.
Yeah.
So like, if we have writing sessions,
Yeah.
and everyone's welcome, but for the most part, it's like the core, guitar.
Yeah, you
key-
probably don't need the backup singers just like, coming in.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and the horns. You guys can stay home tonight. We're gonna get some structure together.
Yeah, just
here.
the structure of it all, and then you
Yeah.
could add in the seasoning after.
Yep. It gets real sectional, which is easy. So it's not
That's cool.
9 people in a circle having a conversation. It doesn't go well.
That's why it's so fascinating whenever you see how many people are in the band, because it's like, I don't know, I'm a control freak,
Same.
and I feel like, I get vulnerable just thinking of like how many, it's like almost too many cooks in the kitchen, but in a band it's different because everything has their own designated area. And it's interesting, but you're also working with all these people who are like great at what they do. And it's like, I guess, I don't know, it's always fascinating to think how people work together and how they maintain that like, relationship to be able to work well together. And it's cool. You guys definitely like your music is fun. I've been doing like a pretty thorough deep dive, watching all the videos, and, it just seems like just like good vibes. You know? Everything that I'm listening to is just good vibes.
That's the plan. I mean, I talk a lot about it on stage. We're trying to give folks a positive experience because, more than ever, people need it.
Yeah.
And I noted when I started doing that, when we started doing the tune Do Right live, and I started getting a little more vocal on stage about, community mentorship and, being a positive person in your family, being good to your mom, and or just like being a good person, essentially.
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of response. Like the people after the show weren't patting me on the shoulder and saying, "Good show, I love your voice." They were saying, "I love your message."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, that's cool." I'll lean into that.
I feel like that's what you would want, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
What so you guys do Pressure, and then like for work or love is 2022. From the time COVID happens to For Work or Love, how does like what's going on in there?
A lot of writing, a lot of all the downtime, but the band. Another thing about the band that people should understand is that from 2014 to now, there's been a significant amount of turnover.
Yeah.
A lot of different folks have been
in and out
of the band. COVID provided a little more turnover, but not a ton. And there was just a big conversation in the room. I had these songs started, but I had to go and check on my people's mental health, well-being. Do you still want to be a musician? Because I kind of understand if you don't.
Yeah.
And everybody was pretty much in, and that was like, okay, if we're in, we're going to do this. We were fortunate enough when we met the guys from Los Lobos, their saxophone player, Steve Berlin, a remarkable producer, kind of put a bug in my ear, like, hey, if you guys make your next record, give me a call. And I did. Once I knew I had the band backing me, I was like, hey, I'm going to call Steve. If you guys want to try it, I'm not blowing this call off. This is important.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm in. 2 weeks later, he was in Pittsburgh and we were in the studio and we started making the record.
Wow.
So
how do you know, like, when you're ready to, like, get in the studio? Do you have to have like a certain number of songs written, certain number of ideas written before you're like, all right, I think we're ready to like try to hammer this out?
Yeah. So after my first call with Steve, I sent him about 35 song concepts of me on an acoustic guitar singing. We whittled it down to 12. Of course, it wasn't the 12 I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it's really, so with Steve, it was a different experience than I've ever had with a producer because I told him and I wanted him to be a big part. What do you think? Be brutal. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And he was in a great way. It was very humbling. And, he was like, he picked those 12. He's like, there's songs here. There's a record here. And his vision was more of a complete record. He's like, and I'm not telling you those other songs are bad. I'm not telling you to throw them away.
But these ones fit together.
These ones will fit together, and this is going to be a record.
Yeah.
And I trusted him with that. And then the songs all at that point still needed work.
Yeah.
And development. And before Steve was actually going to be on site, because we could only be with him for a limit, because he's touring, he's busy.
Yeah.
So there was limited FaceTime. So we wanted to make sure we went in very prepared, very,
ready to work.
And a lot of the songs, when we did get that FaceTime, they all got blown up. Like, in a way. Not a bad way. But, like, we went in with the band went in with certain expectations and thinking the things should be a certain way, and Steve had other ones, and ultimately we always defaulted to Steve, and he was right. He helped us a lot with the horn arrangements. He helped, it was just really awesome to have such a respected figure in the room.
Yeah.
And his guidance was,
yeah, that what he's telling you is for a reason.
Yeah.
And his opinion is to be held at like a different level than like, just like a friend that's like, oh, maybe you should do this.
Yeah.
That's cool though. That's cool. It would be fun. It would be interesting to have that experience where you're like, you're in kind of like the room with one of these big dogs. Like they're not going to just like, sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of the experience that, it's like reward. It's like an honorable experience to like go through that.
Yeah, it was crazy challenging for you think you got he would shoot me straight, and I, looking back on it, loved it, but at the time was mortified.
Yeah,
and be like, that ain't it. Work harder.
But it's like that's all the stories that any of these like great people have. It's like people were rough on me. People did not sugarcoat things, and that's the only thing that made me what I am today.
Yeah. I mean, it is what makes people.
How do you come, like what's your process coming up with the album names?
So originally For Work or Love kind of started pre-COVID, at least the idea of it.
Yeah. Because
we were traveling a lot, and originally my idea for this album was a travel album.
Yeah. Do you have ideas like like themes for your albums?
That's what I really wanted to do.
Okay.
I hadn't done that well, that's not entirely true. I guess I do.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it, but yeah, the Grown was coming of age, young band. We don't know who we are. Pressure was the pressure of trying to make it.
Yeah.
And For Work or Love, was the experience of pressure.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, why are we all here? How do 9 people get in a van and leave their lives for 2 weeks? Well, and the other big thing with that particular title is there's only 2 things that somebody will uproot their entire lives for.
Wow.
And it's work or love.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So when you meet somebody and maybe they just moved here, or you're meeting them for this first time, or you meet somebody at the bar and they're like, well, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Texas. Oh, what brought you here? Work or love?
Yeah.
It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, that's true.
It's either I met a girl or I got a job.
Huh. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, you said you wanted it to be a travel record. Now, I mean, like obviously that's where the inspiration came from for the album cover.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
well, the inspiration for the album cover is because that was COVID, because I couldn't physically get in a room to get the album art done with people because of COVID. So,
I guess that makes sense.
So I was like, I got to come up with a concept here to make getting this art done faster. So I collaborated with your friend Justin Boyd, and we came. We're like, oh well, you could just be like looking off into the distance.
It looks cool.
Looking for your friends.
It's intriguing. It's very intriguing. Like it's fitting for the area as well. You got the railroad tracks and everything. Yeah. Everyone's been walking on them railroad tracks, and it's cool. But diving into your music, I never watched any of these videos until the last couple days, and I love all the videos.
Oh,
nice. Trying to get over.
Yeah.
Like an unreal video.
Yeah.
Just like a cool video. Yins are all dressed awesome. Yins are all just like, I don't know. Obviously, I love the city. You know, dudes ripping on the guitar on the van.
They're very Pittsburgh centric.
Yeah, very Pittsburgh centric. But like, I love the PPG video. It's I don't know. It's good vibes. How do you kind of come up with these concepts of these videos? I know that the Bradley Adam, director of these, you work with him a lot, I guess.
Yeah, he's done the boatload of our videos, and he's exceptional.
How do you come up with these like ideas? Is it him or is it you guys?
I throw him some loose thoughts.
Yeah.
And then he goes.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable how he works and how fast he works.
I was so amazed by all the shots in Trying to Get Over.
Yeah.
Like you guys, I mean, it looks like you just were just having a fun ass day, just doing whatever. And it was put together so well.
Yeah. If you can believe it, we shot Names, Trying to Get Over, and How Do I Do This? Or no, not How Do I Do This, excuse me. And Never Say Goodbye. Those 3 videos, all shot by Brad, over 2 days in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
And both of those days, it was 98 degrees.
Yeah.
Wearing those suits in those videos.
Yeah.
Dying.
Oh, I bet. Playing basketball in these suits.
Brad got sun poisoning.
Oh, my God.
That's not funny, but he's fine now. But he called me after, getting home. He's like, man, that sun fucked me up, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see it all and kind of just take it all in at one time as I'm trying to go through and watch all these. Now, you put this album out for Work or Love, and how do you prepare for that? Is there a lot of prep for dropping this album?
So the label had an option for a second record. We up till the shutdown, we had pretty good growth with Pressure.
Yeah.
So they were on board for, another album, and so work with them, released it through them again. And the plan was to tour, but also we're in a very tricky touring environment, even still to this day.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, lower level touring act bands, it's really tricky out there still right now. The markets aren't what they were. People aren't going to shows in the same way. All the big dogs are out. They've had more stadium tours. There's a stadium, Heinz Field's filled with a concert every weekend, seemingly. Yeah. And that, the consumer only has so many dollars in their pocket, so it trickles down, and there's just younger bands out there now they're just in a tough spot. So touring's been different, but the plan, and still the plan to this day, is you got to get out there and you got to work and you got to sell and you got to get the record out there and just get in front of the people, and and that's what we're doing. We're still doing it.
Yeah.
But there's a way different feel out there than pre shutdown.
Yeah. That's interesting to hear. That's definitely an interesting thing to hear. Do you work with like a booking manager to like try to get shows?
Yeah. We have an agent, and we, we're road warriors. Like I leave for North Dakota tomorrow morning, and like we're not afraid to get out there and do it, but it has to be logical.
Yeah.
So a lot
especially with as many people as you have.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff we did this summer and still doing, a lot of festivals. You could go to a city, they'll have like art festivals, things like that. And then if you can get, one kind of nice gig that provides funds to maybe go do a door deal at a club, and they kind of balance. So that's kind of our model right now, especially when we're going to grow other markets.
Yeah, it's like you want to work, you want to get out there, but it's like you got to make sense.
Right. So if you get the one gig that's like this amount of money, and okay, well if we're going to go that far, that's great.
Let's try to round up a couple other around there.
If we're making that there, then we can go down into the city and make kind of nothing here where it might be a better show.
Yeah.
Well, but it's growing the band in a different way, not monetarily.
Yeah. So, you're getting in front of eyes rather than just getting, all the money for it.
So that's really the model right now. And then just, sell records, push the stuff,
What's the feeling of doing a show in the hometown? Like Stage A, July 28th.
Yeah, man.
How does this come to be? And like, how do you plan this show? How do you approach a show in Pittsburgh compared to like, a random ass spot in North Dakota?
Right. It's a journey that starts, every year. It's kind of, Pittsburgh's such a tricky city for me because obviously it's my home. Obviously I love it. It's where our biggest fan base is.
I've heard that Pittsburgh doesn't have a great music scene though.
Oh, no, I disagree. Especially after yesterday.
Yeah.
I spent the whole day at Northside Music Festival. From a band perspective.
Yeah.
As far as I can't speak to, I can't speak to what the scene's like.
I feel like I have to take back what I said, and I feel like that a lot of it is because of like the canceled concerts as of lately. I just feel like it's been getting beat in my head.
Yeah.
Reading all these comments, Pittsburgh's music scene is terrible, all this, but and then I do get the opportunity to see things like the music festival you were at yesterday, and like the other things that go on in the city. And I don't know. I guess it's opinionated on whoever you ask.
Yeah. And it's where I think some people who feel that way might not be looking in the right places.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent here and a lot of great bands for sure. As far as we go, what kills me is that like living here and having a band that people like here, when we get into these bigger rooms like the AEs and the Smalls, we could only, play here twice a year. And it's like when I'm downtime and I want to go, like I would love for the Commonheart to go into a place, like, I don't know, like Spirit or like some like cool.
Something smaller, intimate.
Yeah, just go have a rager, like go into Brillo box and blow it out. Like that sounds like the most fun thing to do. But I can't do that because I'm constantly pushing, like a room where I'm trying to sell.
Yeah, you're trying to play the long game.
Yeah.
Realistically, that's what it is.
And it's like it's real peaks and valleys of emotions because it's thrilling to try to sell that many tickets and do that big of a show. It's awesome. People, every time we do it, people love it. We have a blast. But I also miss smaller club rooms and sweaty.
Those
hot
times.
little clubs,
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, how do you decide on Stage AE?
Working with our manager and just when our philosophy is, we went in the first time and we're like 10 tickets shy of a sellout.
Yeah.
Then you're on AE's radar and they're like,
oh, that's cool.
Let's make it an annual thing. Like, let's.
It seems like a cool venue too. I mean, like, well, I know it's a cool venue. I've seen a million shows there, but as a band's perspective, I feel like it would seem like a cool, like, outdoor venue.
Oh, I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
I've
seen some of my best shows I've ever witnessed right outside the stage AE.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really great, and as a fan too. I mean, I've seen a ton. I love going there. It's logistically easy. I think it's clean enough. It's see the city. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then being there behind the scenes too, like great people run it, super, all the staff and security, awesome people. And yeah, I love playing there for sure. It's like daunting sometimes to put, it's all about, like, my brand's ticket sale driven. So I'm like, it's a lot of ticket. Okay. I'm going to work. Like, I got to promote this thing. I got it.
Yeah. How many people is the outside hold?
Outside's 5,000.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. And to be honest, we're not, 5,000's unattainable for us.
Yeah.
But if we put 2,000 in there,
yeah, it's like,
it's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
And it's going to look great. And, that's really, it's a great Pittsburgh party is kind of a bit of the marketing ploy. And it's just like a celebration of good music, good people. It's we're a local band. We're proud. We're proud of that. We're proud we're from.
Yeah.
And just like get into.
Dude, I never got to see you live. I'm pumped to come.
Yeah,
I talked to my buddy yesterday when we were out there, and he was like, I told him I was sitting down with you today, and he was like, no shit. He was, and I forget where he said that he saw yinz at, but he was like, man, I would love to go see him again. I was like, they're playing on the 28th. He was like, I ain't got shit to do, so we're gonna come down.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time, dude. I'm excited to see it. I've heard about your band from Boyd, from Caudle.
Yeah.
Caudle has.
Oh, Caudle's the guy.
I know, he's the guy. And he's definitely, told me, numerous times, but a million people tell me a million people to have on here.
Yeah.
But, I was pumped to be able to, like, try to make this happen before the show and try to get it out there and, like, have people hear about it a little bit more. Now, what's like your goals for what it is? I know we were talking about, like, you're just grinding and you're working at this all, but your mindset is, you're obviously going to play this show here, but you're touring around. It's like, how often are you guys touring now?
It's sporadic.
Yeah.
Right now, recently this summer, it's been a little more, weekend warrior kind of schedule, which I'm not mad at, because I love, being home too, which is nice.
Well, I mean, yinz all have jobs, I assume.
Everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
A lot of teachers.
Yeah.
A lot of music teachers.
Okay, that
in the
makes
band,
sense.
So they,
have a little bit more time off.
Yeah, they have some flexibility there. And my story of how I have my job is very unique, but it's, I walked into my boss's office to quit because I was going to go be a musician.
Yeah.
And he was so kind, and it was just like, hey, don't quit.
I'll work with you.
I'll work with you. They changed me to, I went from full-time to what they call casual.
Yeah.
Which is essentially like, you can make your own schedule.
Yeah.
And he was like, do what you got to do. I support the band.
That's awesome.
When you're in Pittsburgh, come to work and I'll pay you.
That's great.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And still to this day, working out. So, but we're still touring a good bit. Like I mentioned earlier, we leave tomorrow morning. We're going to hit North Dakota and then work our way back home for the Pittsburgh show. Wow. So we'll hit Wisconsin, Chicago, Detroit, and then come home for Pittsburgh.
My goodness.
Yeah. But it's, I love the road. I'm addicted to it.
I mean, how couldn't you love it? I feel like just the energy of being in a band, being just waiting to get your time up there to perform, give it your all, hanging out with these people in the back, like-minded people. It just seems like a great time.
Yeah, all this crazy stuff that we talked about today, from coming up in bands to making records to COVID to all this stuff, all these frustrations. What I tell people, you won't believe what a stage will do.
Yeah.
You could be in a van. I've been in a van, 10 hours, miserable.
Yeah.
Muscles aching.
Yeah.
Got to take a piss.
Yeah.
haven't showered properly in a couple days, let alone seen a bed. You get on a stage for 20 minutes and
breathes life into you.
It's all, man. You're just like the happiest person in the world. There's so much, it cures problems.
Yeah.
And it's always, that's the drug.
You ever forget your lyrics?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'd always fascinate.
You want to do a whole podcast on that?
It always fascinates me because I'm like, who did we went to, my wife bought tickets to go see Ed Sheeran and I went with her and it was honestly fantastic. Dude rips on a loop pedal.
That's awesome.
But I mean, he's playing for 2.5 hours and I'm like, how the fuck do these people not forget their lyrics?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, how many songs you usually play, like at the Pittsburgh show? How long is your set going to be?
It'll be 90-ish minutes.
Yeah.
Probably do.
That's crazy.
Just under 20.
It's just wild. I mean, you do forget what happens in that moment.
I mean, you feel like a dick.
You just utter the sound, and you're like, I ain't gonna know.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much it. Actually,
yeah, that's what it is.
You just keep pushing.
Yeah, pull the mic away like Joey Gladstone for a second.
Yeah, just keep it moving.
Yeah,
that's all.
Let the guitar rip a little bit.
Listen to the playback later and be like, oh gosh, what's wrong with me?
What is like if you had to pick places that you enjoyed playing, like different areas, what are some of the best places that you played?
A lot of good ones. My favorite show we ever did was in Portland, Oregon, at a place called I hope I'm not messing this up. I think it's called the Crystal Ballroom.
Yeah.
They had this in the 20s, whenever big band was popular, maybe 20s and 30s. They used to put these. You ever been to a club that had a spring-loaded wooden floor?
Spring loaded.
Yeah. So they built it for the ballroom dancers because they wanted the floor to have give when they do the dance for the different techniques, right?
Yeah.
So there's still clubs to this day that have these spring loaded wooden floors. So the club is on a second or third floor. And when you're below where the audience is, you can see the springs and you can see the floor give. Well, then when you're on stage and the full audience is rocking, you can see physical movement in the room, like not just people, like the building is
it's
moving.
like going up and down.
That was wild.
That's cool.
We got to play the Fillmore in San Francisco, which was pretty intense. Knowing that like Zeppelin played there and like,
hell yeah,
just like holy shit.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah. But then playing Star Lake was nuts.
Yeah. Gotta be, right?
That was weird.
Now, I mean, like, so, as I'm watching like a lot of these videos you had on your YouTube, I saw that you were at the Mac Memorial, the Mac Miller Memorial.
Yeah.
How does like stuff like that come to be?
So through Boyd, I knew Boyd was really close with Mac, and for that show we wanted to do something that was like special because I'd never met Mac actually I take that back. I did meet him once when I sang the national anthem for the Steeler Patriot game.
You sang the national anthem?
Remember the game we won?
Yeah.
When Heath Miller didn't fumble and we won the game and they
took
it
sang
away
that
from
there?
Me. I sang the national anthem that day.
How does that happen?
I was working a charity event and the guy who books saw and was like, hey, you should come do one. And he had me for that one.
No way. You ever do that before?
Never.
How was that experience? Was that nerve wracking?
It was insane. It was absolutely insane.
Wow.
Yeah. They tell you, so for that one, I brought my two background singers. And back to the Mac thing real quick, because I was walking out to do it and he was on the field. He gave me a dap and wished me good luck. I was like,
that's dope.
Amazing. And so they put you out on the center field, right on the emblem, the 50-yard line, and they tell you like, hey, so just so you know, the players are going to run out of the tunnel, and they're going to be coming right at you, and you're going to be convinced that they're going to hit you. But trust me, they won't. They know you're there. It's fine. The next thing I know, I look up, 84, Antonio Brown, gunning at me, 5,000 miles an hour like a cheetah. Comes so close, I could smell his freaking cologne. Zips by us. It was insane. And they're like, all right, sing now.
Yeah. That's unreal.
Yeah, but it was pretty cool.
That's a cool experience for sure. Yeah. That's something that you didn't expect to happen?
No. 2 weeks out from so something I learned, which I didn't realize, they don't really like book the anthems out.
Oh, okay.
So they want to, they do it so that they can have a pulse on something that might be happening. You know, so.
That's interesting.
So so I got the call and went and did it. It was bonkers. It was, my 2 background singers came with me, and they were tremendous, and
wow,
put it together, a little arrangement. It was really cool.
What a cool opportunity.
Yeah, walking off, Tomlin shook my hand and gave me a that-a-boy, and I was like,
that's sick.
On top of the freaking
Yeah, that's a cool moment for sure. Yeah. Just before you got here, I was watching the Mac tribute though. Whenever you sang "Come Back to Earth," like pretty unreal.
Back to that. It was really cool. I mean, it was tragic. He was that night. He was supposed to be headlining the Pete, so we knew some significant things.
Yeah.
That were happening, that were supposed to happen in Pittsburgh that night. So that was kind of the inspiration to do it. And then we got to have Benji come on and do the feature. Tremendous rapper, amazing person.
Yeah, sang Ladders.
Yeah. That was really, really, awesome. And also, Boyd's been photographing, doing our photos for years. And
how'd you link up with him?
That was through our drummer, Sean. They worked together at a Guitar Center. And just kind of,
small world
stuff.
I love
he came
Boyd.
on and shot, and his work is so...
It's great. He's the only...
Awesome.
He took that photo of Mac right there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have one of his...
Took that photo of my wedding, too.
He's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah.
I get him for everything. I just did a show at Bottle Rocket. I had him up there taking photos for that too.
Nice. He'll be at AE. I hired him to come shoot AE.
Hell yeah. I mean, you can't beat it. I mean, for a live, like any live events, he kills it.
Oh yeah. And he's a blast to be around.
Yeah, he is. He's just a good guy for sure. But that's a cool moment to be able to have, I mean, Mac is one of the most important figures in the city. It's cool to be able to have an opportunity to be involved with that and be able to, use your medium to, give him, honor him in that song. How did you choose that song?
When that Tiny Desk came out, that was my first introduction to that record.
Okay.
And that was, a radical performance. Unreal. Really cool. And then I just really loved that record, and that song stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And then Lucas, our keyboardist, was like, hey, this Ladders tune, we could really...
Yeah, it's
with
funky.
A live band, it's funky.
Yeah.
You could really do a thing. So
that's such a good one. That's Boyd's favorite song.
Yeah, that's a jam. So we did the arrangement with both of them, and it was really cool. And then to have and Bradley Adams shot that as well.
Yeah,
and he had some ties to that crew as well. So it's kind of special for everybody. We knew the people that were close to him and loved Mac. It was a heavy time for them.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I think I also wanted to do it for them too,
Yeah. I feel like it's a lot of pressure in those moments, to be able to be part of like a tribute or a remembrance. Like, I feel like it's a lot of pressure, but I thought it was a fucking great performance. Oh, really, really good.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Now, so, I mean, the plan is just to, keep grinding, keep touring, keep trying to get out there.
Yeah, I think so we have our touring schedule pretty much for the rest of the year kind of mapped out. So now the discussions behind the scenes are our next record, writing, a lot of writing right now. And yeah, top of next year, we have some, interesting opportunities. We're getting on this thing called the Rock Boat, which is like one of those giant festivals on a cruise ship.
No way. That's dope.
The Struts and I'm gonna kick myself from forgetting the big headliner, but these rock boats are really awesome because they have this huge fanship that stretches all over the country. So if you go on and you do well, you're meeting so many different people. So I feel like it's a really significant opportunity to drop a new record
and have the eyes of the people that like that style of music.
Yeah. Oh, the main headliner is Young the Giant.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and then the Struts, and then there's a dozen other great bands on it too, and we're gonna have a chance to be a part of that at the top of next year. So the goal is new music for that.
Yeah.
And then hit next spring, running with hopefully just keep building markets and.
Wow.
Yeah.
July 28th, at Stage A. Do you have any, you got other acts coming with you?
Yeah, there's a band based here in Pittsburgh called Beauty Slap.
Beauty Slap.
Who are absolutely fire. They have a full horn section over live DJ.
Oh, my.
And they just do really, really hot stuff. It's great.
Wow.
And then we have another group out of Youngstown, Ohio called the Vindies. And the Vindies are like a very female-fronted rock band that just, they really do kick ass. They're
Love it.
A great group. It'll be really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm excited about that. We're going to give away some tickets.
Yeah, I got a couple tickets for your listeners here. Please come on down.
All right, we're going to do that. We're going to make a post for people that are listening to this. It's already going to be through, but feel like appreciate the opportunity.
If you're listening, we gave you tickets.
Yeah, if we're listening, one Ian's got tickets.
We love you.
Okay. Do you think there's anything I forgot about the music?
Man, no, this was great.
Well, you're not done yet.
Good.
The ending segment that I do with everyone is an ending segment called Desert Island Questions. Okay, so desert island questions, whenever I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island and use until they starve to death and die. First category is movies. You get 3 movies for the rest of your life to watch over and over and over again.
All right. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom. Dark Knight.
Shawshank and Dark Knight. Shawshank is always in my top 3. That's my favorite for sure. But Dark Knight is like, I don't know how many times I've watched it. It has to be 100.
Yeah.
We had a bootleg copy of it a few months before it came out. My friend is like one of them people in the Matrix and downloads all this shit. But I remember I was at Slippery Rock. This was 2008. And I had a copy of this, and it was like, coveted. People were like, yo, like, I'll rent it off you. Mm-hmm. And I had like a little timestamp up there. I probably could have gotten in a lot of trouble for it, but I think statute of limitations is out on it. But great movies.
Yeah.
Are you a movie guy?
Yeah, I love movies.
You watch a lot of like TV and shit? Like, what are you watching currently?
Currently, I am trying to catch up on The Bear, which is awesome.
Unreal.
Yeah, I really like what they do in the shadows.
Oh, so good. That's why both of my dogs are named that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the big one is Nadja, and the other one is Evie for Energy Vampire. That crazy one that
I thought I recognized that.
Yeah, yeah, we're big fans of that for sure. I didn't get to watch a new one yet.
Yeah, I'm a huge Trailer Park Boys fan. And I you know what? if I'm being honest, lately I'm slacking on film.
Yeah.
But I should change that. And then my default is like, I just will, to relax, put on an episode of The Sopranos.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Just kind of chill.
Can't beat it. Yeah. Where, okay, well, second category.
Oh, you're wearing the Sopranos shirt.
Wearing the Sopranos.
I didn't even reference that.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm a late fan. I just watched it, I think last year I watched it for the first time. Yeah. I ended up getting through it. I ended up not ever knowing how it ended. So I think it was 15 years later, and I'm like consuming it. And I felt like Tony Soprano for a month. But second category, I usually ask people books. Are you a reader?
I'm not really a reader.
Okay, so let me ask you this: what are your 3 favorite songs out of your catalog?
Oh, of mine?
Yes.
Oh man. I do love Do Right. It really makes me feel good to perform it. And I think it rocks. I also really love a tune called Never Say Goodbye, which is on For Work or Love. I think that's one of the best tunes we ever recorded. And my favorite song I ever wrote is a tune called Spain, which is it's on Grown. And it's a song that I wrote for my brother. And it's a ride. You should check it out.
I think my favorite song out of your catalog is Hustler.
Oh, right on.
I don't know why. Just like I was driving in my car, listening through everything, and that was on, and that was just like just playing it over and over again. Am I wrong that you put a teaser for a video out?
I did put a teaser for a video out. Is going to be released actually this week. When I put the teaser, we were still figuring out how and when we want to put it out before AE to kind of like
drum up some
drum up some notice.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be, it'll come out. It'll be out when this airs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
that's good.
I think it's going to come out the 22nd.
Yeah, because this morning I was looking and I was like, "There's a teaser," and I was like, "Is there a video?"
Yeah,
and then I'm
yeah.
like looking back on it, but
We put the brakes on it for annoying reasons, but it's all good. It's coming.
that's good. I'm excited about it. Okay, third category is 3 CDs to take on a desert island.
Oh, wow. All right. Jimi Hendrix Band of Gypsies. That record I could listen to start to finish. That's a great one. Probably a BB King record. I'm not sure which one. Maybe the one where he's in prison.
Okay.
That's a great one. Can't think of the name of it, but that's really good. And then Got to Be Ready to Die. Biggie Smalls.
Yeah, I'm a Biggie guy.
Yeah.
Always have been. That's good. Those are good. That's a good variety. Where
Yeah.
would you say a lot of your inspiration for music comes from? Because like I feel like you have a pretty unique style. How do you? I mean, is that a weird question?
No, it's not a weird question. I think it comes from, not to sound like a corny hippie, but it's just kind of just like living, and all the different music I'm into plays a role in different ways. Like I really grew up a hip hop kid. You know,
Yeah.
like I love all.
Well, that's what I'm gathering after I like talked to you and like you were talking about in the beginning how you started out.
Yeah, and I still will put a rap record. Like I love hip hop and rap and like all that stuff. It really gets me going. It energizes. I think the lyrical deliveries wake my brain up and in turn, get my emotions going. But then also like the blues and BB King and Al Green and Otis Redding and all those guys, like that sound, that feel, that joy
Yeah.
is also a driving factor.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is there any music you don't listen to?
No, it's all. I don't actively listen to like pop country
Yeah.
or pop in general, but I try to be, because this is the business I want to be in. I try to be, have an awareness.
Yeah.
Like I listened to a Taylor Swift record. I thought
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it back on.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
I respect that answer.
Yeah, it was killer. I thought all her songs were great. I'll check out who's the big guy. I don't even really know.
Morgan Wallen?
I'll listen to his record. I have not, but I would.
I can't.
You can't?
I'm not a big I'm a new like I listen to the old country. I grew
Yeah.
up on George Strait, all the good classics like that. But I started recently getting into it. I started listening to like Tyler Childers and like Zach Bryan and all that,
Yeah.
and like that's like the country. Coulter Wall, like that's the country that I could get into now. That's not really like it doesn't sound like a pop R&B song with a country voice over it, kind of. And
Yeah.
that's what I feel, that's what I feel with Morgan Wallen is. I have a lot of friends that love him, but it's just
Yeah.
like, I can't really get into that. I'm more of like, I'm not a huge, like, huge music guy. I find myself, listening to the same shit over and over again, CDs from whenever 2007, like, weird Chiodos,
Yeah.
same shit over and over again. But I've been like actively trying to like, listen to different music, and that's the path I'm down right now. Is like that like gospel-y country, like revival type, like
Yeah.
things like that. I'm going to this Healing Appalachia festival where they just got a lot of. I probably only heard of a couple bands on there, but
Is
I've
Tyler
been
on there?
Tyler's headlining it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the guy.
it's going to be good. There's Charles Wesley Godwin is like another group.
Yep.
And
Amazing.
I'm talking to a guy. I have an opportunity to talk to a guy who's playing guitar in there and another band. But it's like there's a lot of different bands that are on that bill.
Reed? You talking to Reed?
Yeah,
Oh, Reed's the guy.
yeah. Reed's coming next week.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, Reed's so great. I'm so happy for.
I guess you probably know exactly who he is because you're all in music world.
Well, Charles's whole backing band is Pittsburghers.
Is it now? Let me ask you this: is this Overlook Church or the Overbrook Church?
Overbrook Church. I'm not familiar with that.
I think it's like, as I was doing some research, it looked like that Charles Wesley Godwin's band was either recorded at the Overbrook Presbyterian Church.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that. So I knew that there was some sort of ties there, but I got linked up through, I interviewed these.
Oh no. They were at the church recording studio.
Yeah.
That's where For Work or Love was recorded.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's in Carrick.
What's the studio called?
It's called the Church Recording Studio.
Oh.
And Overbrook is the neighborhood.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Now I get it now.
Yeah.
I think the article I was reading had it confused in there.
Yeah.
That's interesting to know, though.
Yeah. So Max Somerville, who's playing piano for Charles, was my old band Backstabbing Good People. That's being Max.
Wow.
So I got ties to all those guys, and they're so awesome.
What a very small world.
Yeah.
And I would have, I guess I would assume that you would have known him. But yeah, I interviewed this business called Low Bar Cocktails.
Okay.
These two ladies run they do a cocktail making thing. You hire them for events and they
I've heard of this.
Yeah. And she was like, you should hit up my buddy Reed. Like he's a great musician around here. I think that you would have a good conversation with him. And then I look and dude's like, yeah, I play guitar in like these two bands. And I'm like, Jesus, like you're from around here? And he was like, dude, I would love to come on. I'm like, this is fucking nuts.
Yeah, I just smile thinking about that. They're just out there doing it so well right now. Reed's playing with Charles and with Zach Bryan, who's like the biggest thing in
that's crazy.
Right now. It's like
pretty cool. It's cool to see, the people in Pittsburgh just like making shit happen on all different levels.
Yeah, it's rad.
It is. It's cool. Okay. Did you?
Before we jump away,
go ahead.
Can I flip this ending segment back to you? Your 3 CDs.
It always changes, but I would say I grew up in I'm 33, so like my main shit was like metal music and like emo indie. So I would say Jack's Mannequin, Everything in Transit. The other one I would say, you would think I would know these answers right now. Swimming
couldn't have been the first time this has happened.
Oh, people ask me all the time. Swimming is definitely an album that I can listen to over and over again with Mac. And then I think just nostalgia, maybe like Stevie Ray Vaughan, like Texas Flood or something like that. Just like
if you're on that island, you need something.
Reminds me of my dad, and that would be something good too. But my answers, they change all the time. Chiodos, like that, I can listen to that for the rest of my life. Shit like that.
Yeah.
Tyler Childers' one album that has Feathered Indians on it.
Yeah.
That's I probably listened to that song over 100 times in the past few weeks. But I don't know. I find things that I love and I just beat them to death.
Yep.
And then I take a 5 years hiatus off on them and then I just revisit them again.
Yeah.
That's good though. Okay. Third to last question is the death row meal. So the death row meal is, you're about to get put to death. Last meal you get an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert.
Wow. I thought this would be easy, but it's not. Appetizer, just give me some mott sticks.
Yeah.
I'm pro that.
A nice mott stick.
With some,
marinara on there.
Good with that.
Yeah.
That's a way to go. Cheese.
Yep.
Or, a full charcuterie board maybe.
That's great too.
Meats and cheeses. I'm pro that. Main course. I'm going crab legs. A lot of them.
Yeah. Bountiful amount.
I'm the guy that all you can eat buffets with crab legs
They
worry
me.
about.
Yeah.
They worry.
Oh yeah. Put a dent in them.
Yeah. For dessert, it's got to be, this is easy. I grew up on them every birthday. Yellow cake, chocolate icing.
That's still a staple here.
Yeah.
We got an emergency yellow cake in the cupboard. We'll just make randomly.
Yep.
Eat it over the sink like a rat.
Yep. Totally. That's easy. Sometimes you cut it in half and do the sandwich stack.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are you okay? So what is you have like a couple favorite restaurants in the city?
Yeah. I love. My favorite restaurant is called Dish Osteria.
Yeah,
it's on
South Side.
South Side. That place is outstanding.
Yeah, real good.
Don't go; they're busy enough.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Go and support them. I just want to be able to get a seat.
Yeah, I know it's crazy.
I'm on this huge food truck thing right now, as our city is just bustling with killer food trucks.
Killer.
My favorite is Just Rolled Up, the sushi truck.
Oh yeah, I haven't had it yet. I've seen it though.
Outstanding. I honestly think it rivals most brick and mortar sushi spots in the city. Like,
wow.
And it's just, he does an unreal job. I'm trying to think of one last good one. So in Bloomfield, there's Thai Gourmet.
Yeah.
The one down near the grocery store. It's not much to look at, but their food.
I never had it.
Oh man.
I ask everyone this just so I could add more shit to my roster.
Yeah. So I knew Thai Gourmet was good when I was working. I was working in Children's Hospital, and I went down and I had lunch, and I was like, "Hey, that's Rick Seaback. Cool. Maybe this is good." Had it. Great.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, Children's Hospital. I'm like, "Oh, I'm going back to that Thai joint." Walk in. Hey, that's Rick Seaback.
Yeah, that's how you know it's a good spot.
Happened again too. 3 times I saw him in there.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That's how you sign off and you know that place is doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious to know, what's your favorite concert you've ever been to?
You know what? I really gotta be honest here. I've seen My Morning Jacket 3 times. I think they put on one of the best shows that I've ever seen. Just an amazing band. And I had the lucky experience of never listening to any of their records and just blindly going to a show.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, now obviously like I have all the records and love them, but the show is exceptional.
Wow.
And then I went to my first, I know it's not technically Grateful Dead, but I went to the Dead & Co. Out in Star Lake a month or so back.
Was that a chaotic pit? I've never heard a more crazy stories than all that shit out there.
Yeah, so I was one of the ones did you hear the traffic stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was a part of that.
Oh, I bet.
I missed the first half of the show.
Yeah.
We were just sitting for 3.5 hours a mile from the venue.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's like
Should
we
have just parked and got out and walked.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We were in a van, so it was like we were just kind of drinking and partying,
experiencing
so we were still having fun, But then the second set was like mind-boggling good.
Yeah, I'm not like I've never spent any time in that in that world of listening to the Dead, but I have like some good friends who are like devout Dead people. Like they just went to, I think they were just in Chicago for a few nights, but I know it's an experience. It would be cool to go to. Did you see the fake, in air quotes, the fake Police schedule for the Fish concert coming up?
No.
Oh man, it's going on Reddit, Pittsburgh Reddit, everything. And it's like the Washington County Police put out this thing called Operation Fish in a Barrel. And it's like, it talks about all the stops where they're going to like search people's shit, where all the canines are and everything. And it's kind of fucking crazy. Wow. I have a screenshot of it. I'll show you it after, but yeah, that was of recent news lately. And it's obviously it's Star Lake, but I think it might have had something to do with the Dead show being as crazy as it was and how much blowback they got.
Yeah. It was bonkers. The thing with the Dead show, and the explanation's easy. Like,
they're crazy everywhere, right?
They're crazy everywhere because Star Lake holds about 25,000 folks.
Yeah.
50 were out there.
Yeah.
And 25 of them didn't have tickets and had no intention of having tickets.
Yeah, but they let them in.
They let them into the lots.
Yeah, and it was filled up for the people that did have tickets.
I think Star Lake changed their policy, and you can't get into the lots without showing your ticket first.
I feel like that's the logical thing, right?
It makes sense. But
they probably don't have to worry about it for a lot of the bands, but like whenever you have someone that's gathering like this crazy audience, it's going to get wild. I bet you Fish will be crazy too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The second to last question. You get ready to go on the tour. You're getting ready to go to North Dakota tomorrow. You go into a gas station for a snack. What is it? What's your go-to?
Pork grinds.
Really?
It's my move.
Wow.
It's my one treat.
Chicharrones.
I love it.
Okay, that's good. I'm not a fan. My wife is though. She loves them. Yeah. I can't get past it. I try to eat it. My dad loves them.
They're not great locally.
Yeah.
That's more. You get to the South.
They got all kinds of good stuff.
It's a different.
I bet it would be then.
Yeah, it's a different energy down there.
Okay, that's fair.
You can tell people are eating them down there.
Yeah.
So they're a little fresher maybe.
Okay, last question. If you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Bill Murray, because I know it would be great.
Yeah. That would be a good answer. He's been
Yeah.
picked before. That's a good answer. It would be
Yeah.
fun.
It's just like, who do you really want to talk to? You say if I went dead and said, went way back, like I just don't think I'd have anything to relate to George Washington about. You know what I mean, and then now just think about, and he's just an interesting.
Interesting is a good answer.
Yeah, maybe Schwarzenegger too.
That would be cool. Do you watch a doc?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
It's pretty. I've only watched the first episode, but it's cool. I just love documentaries. It's like the closest thing is a podcast. Is there like a? It just escaped me what I was just going to ask you. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good answer though.
I just think Schwarzenegger's story is kind of wild.
It's a wild one. Both of those are wild stories.
Yeah,
those are good.
Yeah, it's talking to people. You never know what you're going to get, but I think guy was in Ghostbusters. I'm in.
Guy was in Ghostbusters. I'm in. All right, dude. Well, I mean that's all the questions I got for you.
Hey, man, this has been awesome.
I appreciate you coming over. I think this was a great conversation. I think we did a good job at finding out who you are, who your band is.
Yeah.
And I hope some people turn out for you July 28th.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and you figuring this out and being on here has just been great. So thank you. And anybody that wants to check out the band, thecommonheart.com, everything's there. Check it out, and take care of each other.
Yeah, Stage A, you can get tickets there. July 28th. What time does it start?
Doors at 6, shows at 7.
Okay. Everyone else, appreciate it as usual. Each and every week, we're back with another great guest doing great things in the city. Thank you for listening. Call you right back.